Welcome to the special edition of the T20 Cricket World Cup, where we're launching this special tool that we have created for you, the cricket lover, to follow the game and to come up with your own scenarios, your own predictions, and to really get into the middle of the action. As you're aware, this Cricket World Cup, there are 12 teams, and they're divided into two teams of Group 1 and 2, two groups of 6 teams apiece. Group 1 has got England, South Africa, Australia, Sri Lanka, West Indies, and Bangladesh. And Group 2 has got Pakistan, Afghanistan, New Zealand, India, Namibia, and Scotland. At the point when we are producing this video, we are down to the home stretch. We're down to just the last handful of games in both of these groups. In Group 1, we've got 4 games remaining. And in Group 2, we have got 5 games remaining. So now the situation is that for these teams to duke out for the top 2 spots in this group, we've got obviously all kinds of possibilities. England is at a very firm position. They cannot be uprooted from their throne. They're already sitting at 8 points, and given the net run rate, huge positive for them, they cannot not qualify for the next round. They have to be amongst the top 2 teams. The challenge now is for the remaining teams to come up with a scenario where they could be the second team in this group. Similarly, in Group 2, Pakistan has, by the virtue of their 4 victories, they've got 8 points on the board. So they are sitting very comfortably at the top placement within the group, and they still have got one game remaining against Scotland. And they're likely, given the current form, they're likely to win that game. So if you were to download the spreadsheet, we'll make the spreadsheet available for you. Please go ahead and follow the link below. You'll be able to come up with your own forecast for each of these games. Australia versus Bangladesh, go ahead and use the drop-down list to pick your own winner, and then see how your selection will move things up and down on the points table. For example, here's a scenario for West Indies to surprise everyone and actually qualify. They need to win both of these games. And then England must win the game against South Africa. If that's what happens, then England would be on top of the group with 10 points, and South Africa, Australia, and West Indies would be tied with 6 points apiece, which means the team with the best net run rate out of these 3 would make it to the next round. So again, this tool is available for you to use. Go ahead and download it and have fun with it. Similarly, for Group 2, the situation for Group 2 is New Zealand. They control their own destiny. They've got 2 games remaining, and if they have to win, and this, by the way, tells you who they still have to play against Namibia and Afghanistan. If they are to go ahead and win the next 2 games, then the remaining teams who are contending to be in the final, in the semi-final, they just might as well just pack up and go off to the airport. They're done. They're through. They don't have a chance to make it. I'm sorry, I picked Afghanistan. I should have picked New Zealand here. So this is the situation. New Zealand controls their own destiny. They need to win the last 2 games that they have outstanding, and they'll be on top of the leaderboard with Pakistan. Whether Pakistan wins the game against Scotland or not, these 2 teams will continue to stay on top of this group, and other teams do not have a chance. It'll be interesting, though, if New Zealand was to lose to Afghanistan. If that happens, then suddenly it's all alive, not just for Afghanistan, but for India as well. If India is to beat Scotland, and if they are to beat Namibia, then we have a situation where Pakistan is still comfortable on top of the group with 8 points, but now we have got 3 teams, Afghanistan, New Zealand, and India, occupying the second position, or rather fighting for the second position in this group. Remember, the top 2 teams would make it to the next round. And the determining factor between these 3 teams would be the net run rate. So now let's go ahead and talk about the tool that we have. Imagine a scenario where this scenario that we just talked about, let's continue this. Let's go ahead and say that Afghanistan has beaten New Zealand, and this is what the points table looks like. And India now is heading into the last game against Namibia, and India has to overtake the top team, which in this case would be, in this particular case, is Afghanistan. So let's say that this is a scenario. Let's say this is the question right now, even though it's likely to change between now and the India-Namibia game. But let's assume for a moment that India's current net run rate is 0.07, and they need to be at 1.48 or higher. So let's go ahead and use the calculator and see how we could achieve that. Let's go ahead and step number one, select a team, and we'll pick India. There's a drop down right there. Go ahead and pick India from the drop down list. And the moment you do that, it brings up all the runs they have scored for counting all the games they have played, and the opposition, how many runs they have scored, how many overs they have batted, the current run rate that India has scored at, the current run rate that they have conceded, and the difference is the net run rate, which is 0.07. And now we want to say that the target that they want to do is 1.48. All right, so step number one, select a team. Step number two, enter your target net run rate. In this case, we just entered 1.48. And now here are the two situations, two scenarios. Pick a scenario. If India in the last game against Namibia is to bat first, or if they are to field first. Let's see what the situation would be if India is to bat first. What should they be doing? Should they be target? Let's say the target, let's say they are able to score 180 runs in 20 overs. They now have to restrict Namibia to within 73 runs, whether they are all out or they still have wickets in hand by the end of the 20th over. It doesn't matter, but they have to keep Namibia from not exceeding 73 runs. And if they're able to do that, then as we can see by this chart over here, they'll have met the target run rate of 1.48. They'll actually be at 1.50, in which case, given this points table that we just looked at, they would be ahead of Afghanistan, and which puts them at the second place within the group, and they'll qualify for the next round. Now let's look at the other scenario, which is India fielding first and putting Namibia into bat. So if India wins the toss, let's say they want to go ahead and ask Namibia to bat first. And let's say Namibia is able to score 150 runs. Now, given the fact that India in this case really is trying to play catch up on the net run rate, so for them, they not only have to win the game, but they have to win the game by a substantial margin, which means that they need to get to the target of 150 runs in 7.4 overs, which means they need to score at 19.48 runs an over to be able to get to this target, to be able to not just beat Namibia, but beat them with a margin big enough for them to give them a net run rate of 1.48. Clearly, it's not going to be an easy task. But then again, when you are that far behind, the pathway for you is not easy. It's very steep. Now, in this situation, obviously, it goes in India's favor if they are to somehow limit the opposition to, let's say, scoring within 120 runs. Now that your target becomes a lot more attainable, now they need to score 120 runs in 7.3 overs, scoring at the rate of 16.06 runs an over. Certainly a much more manageable task, given the fact that you need to send every player who goes into bat, they'll just be there to throw the bat at anything and everything, hit multiple boundaries in every over to get to this target within 7.3 runs. So the advice for any team that is using the calculator and that's trying to figure out what the options should be as they head into the final game, when they really have to meet their target of the net run rate, they'd be well advised to not just download the calculator and plug in all the right numbers. But as you can clearly see here, between these two scenarios of betting first and betting second puts you in the driver's seat. No matter how monumental, how difficult, how impossible even the task would be, but at least you would know what you're heading towards. Whereas if you bat first, score 180, then for you to limit the opposition to 73 runs in 20 overs, which means you don't let them, you only let them score at 3.65 runs an over. That's not going to be a simple task for you, given the fact that we've got field restrictions and one bat over could just derail your entire operation. So the best recommendation would be for a team to field first, set as try to limit the opposition from scoring as small a target as possible, and then get the target. And then once you come out to bat, you would know exactly how fast you need to score, and based on that, you're able to plan your batting lineup. So we hope you're able to download this tool and use it. This tool needs to be updated on a daily basis. So please keep coming back here on a daily basis to get the latest version, the latest update on this tool. Clearly, we need to continue to revise the points table, because with each game, with the scores that we have for each game, the net run rates would change, and we need to factor in the latest net run rate for this computation. Thank you so much again for your support, and please download the tool. If you like the tool, please provide a comment below or a recommendation below, or like this video, or please forward the video to others so they could also benefit. And please stay tuned, bookmark the site, or subscribe to the site, because we'll continue to provide videos related to cricket, some exciting news, some coverage about old games or recent events. And we've got a lot of tools that we'd love to share with our cricket enthusiasts. And please be on the lookout for those tools. All right, thanks again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.